One Piece chapter 1096 was really action-packed. We continued where we left off with Kuma's flashback, seeing different things that happened in God Valley. We learned more about it, and it continues to prove why it's the best flashback in One Piece, learning more about Rocks and his crew, learning more about Kuma, learning more about the Celestial Dragons, and everything that happened at God Valley. And unfortunately, Oda, he cut away as soon as the fighting started, which I was expecting him to do, and eventually we'll get the rest of the missing pieces that was left off in this chapter. But if you guys enjoy regular anime content like this, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. With that, my name is Potential Unleashed, and let's get into One Piece chapter 1096's breakdown. The hunting competition, it consisted of the 100,000 civilians, and they were considered rabbits. There were 13 super rare rabbits, and they were 10,000 points. There are also 150 rare rabbits. Their points are unknown. Probably the super rare and potentially the rare rabbits, those probably consist of either slaves or those with a unique blood or heritage or come from a special race. Some people within the community have talked about the statement by Mihawk when he talked about not going all out when hunting a rabbit in his fight with Zoro. They're trying to use this to say that Mihawk could have been a former God Knight, and it is a possibility, but I don't think that this line was meant for that. I think Mihawk was just saying that since he is so strong compared to Zoro, that he doesn't need to go all out when fighting somebody so weak. During the hunting competition, some of the different individuals that were there that are a part of the Celestial Dragons, they looked a little bit like the little kids that were involved with Mother Carmel. Personally, I just think that this is Oda using similar designs. I don't think we need to read too much into this. Apparently, the hunting competition is supposed to last for 3 weeks. Slaves were believed if they could survive these 3 weeks, then they would be free. But according to Ivankov, nobody had ever survived this competition, and the reason why they're given this 3-week time period and saying that they would be free was so that the slaves and the people getting hunted could have some hope and that they would cling to survival. That way it would be more entertaining, and I wonder how Ivankov knows about the hunting competition not having any survivors. I guess I'm not really sure how he would know, but hey, I will say this reminds me a lot of the anime 86, where the different Alba kicked out anybody that did not have white hair and put them in the 86 district, and that they had to fight this never-ending war against the machines, and if they survived, I believe the time period was 5 years, then they would be welcomed back as citizens, but in actuality they would never be welcomed back because everybody would be killed. Because if the individuals came back, they would probably rebel against the people that did the injustice to them. So it makes sense why these individuals involved in the hunting competition would not survive, because if they did, then they would go around spreading the word that the Celestial Dragons are doing this and warning other countries, and then other people might even potentially try and rebel against the Celestial Dragons. So in order to escape, the slaves decided that they would use the prizes, which are devil fruits, to escape. Those include Kaido's and Kuma's pawpaw fruit, and were there others? Potentially, but that's yet to be known. With all these heavy hitters at God Valley, we wondered how all of them were able to get there. This is because 2 weeks ago, Jenny sent a transmission out allowing everyone outside of God Valley to know what's going on. So that's how Roger, Garp, and other pirates were able to get there. And I kind of want to put the reason why Garp was there with an asterisk. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Rocks, he came there because the Celestial Dragons apparently stole the treasure from Hachinosu. We don't know exactly what that is. I want to also reference Kaido's flashback, because there was an individual saying, hey, we're going to God Valley, and this is probably once the information from Jenny was leaked, meaning that the sacred treasure was taken before this scene happened. Now, the reason why Garp ended up going to God Valley, because some individuals were questioning if Garp just saved the Celestial Dragons just because he wanted to. He had no interest of that. Kong actually called him, begging him to go there, and then the moment that he he mentioned Roger, that's when Garp was ready to go after him, because we know that Garp is obsessed with wanting to capture Roger. It kind of reminds me a lot of when Smoker is so obsessed with trying to capture Luffy. It's also necessary to mention that God Valley, it is in the West Blue. I don't believe that we ever knew this before this chapter. This is important because of the chapter when Shanks and Whitebeard met. In that chapter, Shanks gave Whitebeard a sake that came from his hometown, and Shanks, he was found in God Valley, which is in the West Blue. Now, I'm not saying that Shanks was necessarily born at God Valley, since in this image he doesn't appear to be a newborn baby, but at the same time it's kind of hard to necessarily depict that. I will say this is something we have to monitor. The individuals that were at God Valley consisted of the Rocks Pirates, the Holy Knights, Roger Pirates, Garp, and other mid-level pirates. The Rocks Pirates were here for different reasons. Some want to fight, some want to get devil fruits, plunder, and steal their treasure back. This is where we start to see a little bit of the infighting that was mentioned earlier for why this crew split up. We also see Gloriosa here. I know in my chapter review I called her Glorissa, and I apologize to that. I don't know why I thought her name was Glorissa instead of Gloriosa. This is really interesting because a lot of individuals, based off of what was said in the SBS, the time period, and what was said in the actual story, we speculated that Shaki was the one who was a part of the Rocks person. This still could happen. And looking at the panel of the individuals that were there were some people that made me think back to Moria at Thriller Bark, because he had his little zombie army or zombie crewmates, and we saw Captain John there, and so some of these other individuals look to appear to have been part of the Rocks Pirates. Could it be Silverax? Could it be Wang Zi? Streusen, he appears to be here. We know his relationship with Big Mom. Roger and Garp, they show up, and Roger looks so much like Ace right here. It just breaks my heart because we know that Ace despised his father, but he actually didn't know the type of man that Roger was, and that if they would have met, that Ace would have actually liked him. The Holy Knights, they're prepared to fight. We see two others designed a little bit besides Garling. As the fighting happens, the slaves, they try and eat the devil fruits, and Ivankov is almost about to eat Kaido's fruit until Big Mom ends up interfering and intercepting the fruit, where Kuma ends up eating his pawpaw fruit. After Kuma eats it, Saturn hits Kuma. I don't really know what this attack is called. I'm gonna call it with like the Jagan eye stare or whatever. He hits him with the same attack that he hit Sanji and he hit Boney with. Kuma, he talks about how nobody was meant to be a slave, and I respect him for this because nobody is more important than anybody else, and we all bleed the same blood. After hearing this scene and reading it, people speculate whether or not Joy Boy was a buccaneer, and this is because of Joy Boy's history with the Gorosei. Saturn, I believe in either chapter 1094, 1095, he talked about their race, the Buccaneers, committing a cardinal sin. And we know that the Buccaneers, they have giant's blood. They're kind of bigger than the average person, and we also saw that giant Straw Hat in Mary Jawan. Only speculations here, nothing has been confirmed. After this, we cut away from the fight again. We cut to the Sorbet Kingdom, where Kuma ended up saving 500 individuals, and then Morgans, he ended up cutting out everything except for Garp being the hero of the Marines, which isn't shocking because the world government has covered up a lot of different things throughout the story. Ivankov also said that with Kuma's efforts, he has the Hands of Liberation, similar, I guess you could say, a play on to Joy Boy and Nika having the Drums of Liberation. We know how much Kuma looked up to Nika. Ivankov leaves, goes on his own to live a separate adventure. He has yet to have his devil fruit, so more likely than not, he got the Horu Horu no Mi at some point when he was on his own, and Jinny and Kuma stay together. Kuma and Jinny, they live their normal lives, learning how to live outside of slavery, eating, chopping wood, learning to make a living. There's also two individuals that end up bullying Kuma, and Jinny beats them up. These two individuals end up growing up, and they are part of Boney's crew. Now, I don't know why. Maybe they feel indebted to Kuma and Jinny. Maybe it's because of Ginny potentially being a clone turned into Boney. We're not sure what exactly Boney is just yet. Ginny and Kuma, they're eating dinner together where Ginny is constantly eating and Kuma gives her food, calling her a glutton. After seeing this page, she is definitely Boney's mother. The two, they cry because they are so happy just being able to live a normal life outside of slavery. We still haven't seen Kuma's involvement with the revolutionaries just yet, seeing his interaction with Dragon, with Vegapunk turning into a cyborg, why he was considered number one, the king of the Sorbet Kingdom, and also considered a tyrant, which I expect us to get that probably within the next 2 or 3 chapters. I think that's how long the rest of the flashback is going to be. But let me know how you guys feel about chapter 1096 in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is on the screen and the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.